Project management is about adding value there. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals to become successful project managers. How I do that in practice? Well, I give training for them to further develop their knowledge, to develop their skills. I help them with mentoring, to help them to organize their projects, to help them to better perform with their projects or to solve problems in their projects. Or sometimes I help them also to develop to prepare their CV for a project, so on. I help companies with consulting because if your goal is to develop your project management skills, my goal is to support you in that journey. Just a reminder that the topic that we are discussing today here is part of the warm up for the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit it's a free event I'm going to make. There I'm going to teach you the first steps that you need to take to develop your project management skills or to advance your project management skills there. Everything will be free. During this week, it's going to be exercises, and for people completing the entire training, they are going to get also a certificate there. Again, the only thing that you need to do then is make sure that you subscribe there because the content will be available only for 1 week. So the topic I'm going to discuss, project management, is about adding value. It's a quite important one, and for some different and for some different objects. Let me go step by step first. First thing that you need to understand as a project manager, the ultimate goal of any project is to deliver value. And when I'm saying that, I'm quoting the Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK, from the Project Management Institute, PMI. That's the biggest project management institution globally there. And so, if the goal of project is delivering value, your goal as a project manager is to manage and deliver the value. Make sure that the project can get the value as needed there. And of course, when I talk about value, that can be very general. What is value then? Value in different situations can mean different things. Value can be, and very often is translated into a business case where the company is going there, but value can be better service, improving service levels, reducing waste, improving customer satisfaction. Value can be improving brand recognition there. It can be, there's all different types of definition of value. So what's important for you as a project manager? If you're working to a project, you need to understand what's the value that's expected from your project. A lot of times, you're going to see this value is directly connected with a business case. Why? Because finance is one of the most common ways that the companies are going to use to measure value. Say if you have a good product, you're going to sell a lot, and hopefully you have a good margin that's going to be profitable for the company. And of course, not only profitable, but also will bring customer satisfaction, brand recognition, and so on. Very important to say that not all projects started based on business case, but a lot of the projects, or in my experience, I would say most of the projects, they're going to have a business case connected with that. Even if the business case, you can have the value, but at some level, you always have a budget that you need to manage because whatever the value the project is trying to deliver there, you're going to have a team, and then likely you have a budget to make sure that you can achieve that kind of value. Very simple. No company in the world, or at least if there's one, I've never seen that in my experience in more than my at this point more than 15 years of professional experience there. I've been working with project management since 2009, and I've never seen a company that would just say someone, "Hey, dear project manager or product owner, product manager, whatever you want to call it, or whatever function is, whatever the structure that you have in the project, we need something to you. Here's some resource. Just go and figure out and go and do it." You always going to be, you need to report what's going on. You are going to be accountable for what the project is doing. So there's no blanket check to execute a project and say, you can take whatever you need there. If there's a company like that, I would like to see. I've never seen it in my life. So that's why very often, or in a lot of cases, to not say most of the cases, you have a business case connected with that. So it's a way to measure value. It's also connecting to business case. Why it's important to understand that project management is about delivering value. Let me bring here a story. I think it was a few months ago. Someone talked with me on my Instagram. I usually talk with people almost via direct messages almost every day there. And someone say, I've been working with project management, and but I see that, and I would like to learn something. But yeah, in the end, I do not use a lot of project management because it's a lot of bureaucracy. Things are changing all the time, so I just end up wasting my time. And I give a reply to the person saying, well, the problem is not project management. The problem is probably you and your company. You don't know exactly what project management is about. And on top of that, of course, you don't have clear goals and clear targets, what you want to achieve. And then, of course, why that's why things are changing all the time. And the person, of course, did not like it, but that's a very important point there. Everything that you do in a project needs to be connected to some type of value that you get. So think about all the documentation that you can have in a project. And different types of projects will have different types of documentation. Uh, but thinking all the documents that you have in a project, at some point, those documents they were created because someone think that you can get some type of value of this document. For example, if you create a project charter, what's the value of this project? Well, you make it clear when the project started. You make it clear that the project was approved by the sponsor. The project manager gain some type of power to execute the project. Usually, you have a clear, or usually, and you need to have a clear goal to execute the project. This goal needs to be connected with the value. Hopefully, once the project chart is approved, it's making sure that the project match the company strategy and the company objectives. So it's already passed in a portfolio initiative. So the project is seeing that the project value is also going to contribute for the company strategy and the company vision, for the company objectives, and so on. So that's the kind of value that you can get, for example, in a project charter. But if you're going to do a project charter without any of those things, does not make sense to make a document that's almost blanket just because you say that you have the document. Very recently, in a discussion with other project management, we end up talking about risk register there. Managing risk is one of the most important things that a project management can do. But the discussion about a risk register is if a separate document should be in place in Excel, the template that a specific company has, or that can be managed in another already existing document there. My point is always the same. A template will not solve any of your problems, and a template will not do the work for you. So, for me, my perspective say, okay, if you don't see a reason to create a new document for that, but you have a way that you're going to register all the risks and you're going to show that you manage the risk in this other document, I'm totally fine with that. Why? Because the purpose of the document of the risk register is making sure that you're managing the risks in a proper way. For example, if you have a project and if you exclude, for example, technical risks that can be figured out in an FMEA, for example, and you end up with 5, 6, or 10 risks, you're going to tell me that you're going to ask to keep a document for that together with the other one because, yeah, you need to update the other document to register the risk for that. What kind of additional value that you're going to get there? So the point is, all the documents that you created, they need to be connected with one type of value that you get there. Why? Because project management is about adding value there. So if you have, and for example, if you look for the PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge, mainly if you are looking at the sixth edition, it's a process-based standard. So you have 49 processes across 10 different knowledge areas, integration, scope, time, cost, resources, communication, stakeholders, procurement, risk, and I'm probably missing something. And I think quality I did not mention. So you have the 10 knowledge areas. With all those knowledge areas have different processes there. If you tell me that you're going to create, I'm going to create an official project management plan as is as describe it or as prescribed in the PMBOK. Nothing against that, but if you're going to create a document, and I've seen people trying to create project management plans and they end up with documents with 30, 20, 30 pages, what kind of value that you're going to get from this document? That's what's your question. Because if you're going to do all knowledge areas there, say quality, the quality is going to be the, if you're going to create a chapter just to say that you're going to manage these via another document, it starts to be a waste if you do that for several of the knowledge areas. It's much better if you have a project plan, a 2, 3 page document, very lean, with key points that you really need there, that's going to be really value added for your project. Then have a 3rd page document just talking about, in the PMBOK, they talk about having a procurement plan. However, in this project here, we don't have anything that we need to buy. We don't have any external research that we need to assess it. We don't have any external partners that we need there. Therefore, there's not considered to create a procurement plan. This is a waste of time. Sorry to say that. Because you're going just to create a document just to say, but I have a project plan. The goal of a project plan is to add value into your project. And of course, make sure that you have clear assumptions there, that you have a clear project goal there, that you have a scope that you have there, a clear scope. If you can have a clear scope, depending on the project that you're working on. If you are developing something completely new, there is a lot of uncertainty. You might not be able to create all the requirements and all the specification that you want for a product. That's also okay. So you need to find ways to manage the things that you're doing there. So every time you are doing something, you need to think about what's the value of doing that. And of course, when you are doing that, you also can challenge the company that you're working on. Because I've seen project managers say, why do you have this meeting here? Whatever is the topic of the meeting. Oh, because it's part of the procedure. It's a mandatory meeting that I need to have. Okay, can you get any type of value of doing this meeting here? Because if you're just following a mandatory meeting without thinking about that, that's not what project management is about. Project management is not about looking for the project project management body of knowledge, the PMBOK, and trying to implement all the 49 processes there. Project management is about understanding the knowledge areas, understanding those 49 processes, understanding how in some situations they can add value for the project, that understanding, okay, this is what my project is about, this is how my company operates, this is how my industry operates, and those are the items from the 49 processes that I can grab and use it here because that will be value added for my project. This is what project management is about. It's not about repeating stuff without thinking. I'll dare to say that's probably not one of the best type of project management, because as a project manager you need to have critical thinking. So why I'm doing that? Why I'm asking my a team member to do something like that? And of course, sometimes for some reason you say, but this is something that needs to be done for audit purpose there. Yeah, but if you're wasting a lot of, and I've seen a company once that they had a procedure very beautiful written in paper, but in practice none of the projects they were following it. Then of course they have an audit for that. And what the people preparing for the audit they were doing, they spent weeks creating documents, creating a paperwork trail to show what was being, that the process was being followed there. That's nonsense. It's much better to review your official procedure, because what an audit do, they are going to look for your official procedure, and they are going to make sure that they are looking that you are using your existing procedure. Of course, they can also look if your procedure it's mature enough, that you have qualities to say, okay, I'm showing how I'm managing risks, because eventually you get this question in all types of auditing. You have questions in how, for example, you can manage changes, how you're going to escalate topics, and so on. But instead of having a big procedure that no one follows it, and you need to create a lot of paperwork to show to the audit, you kind of need to fake it a lot of paperwork to show to the audit. Make sure that you have a procedure. Create a lean procedure and make sure that everybody follows it, because that's the idea of a procedure. That you create something that it was proven that's working. So you write a procedure because you want the process to be repeatable there. And of course, all procedures you have you should have continuous improvement, all because people change, the work will evolve, the tools that we work will evolve, the projects will evolve, so you also need to update this procedure. So that's very simple. So project management is about adding value. Forget about just doing something because it's a procedure. And I understand, okay, but if I do not follow my procedure in my company, I'm going to get in trouble. But if you start to ask important questions and you start to bring good arguments there, why it's not necessarily needed or why it's necessarily does not it's not adding value anymore, a company will look for this for you and will say, "Oh, this person here is really looking for how to improve it. This person here is helping the company as being more mature, is helping the company to develop project management, the project management maturity. This person here is helping, is bringing value for the company." So that's how you're going to start to add value for your organization. And guess what? Do you want to be promoted? Do you want to progress into your career? What you need to do is think about ways how you can add value for your company, how you can make things simpler, how you can save costs, how you can make things better there. That's how you add value for a company. So stopping looking for all those different ways, stop looking to project management as a kind of box that you need to follow all the time. It's not like that, and that's exactly why exists different type of project management approach. That's exactly why you see the project management body of knowledge, both the process based standard, but also the principle based standard, the PMBOK 7 edition there. Why? Because the PMBOK 6th edition that's still valid, it's a guide with best practice that in most of or that in a lot of times people see value when implemented that one. Does it not? Does again? It doesn't mean that all the time you need to implement all those type of tools because best practice they are there to guide you. So instead of just trying to say project management has no value, learn project management, learn the different tools. Then you are going to know, okay, when that can help you to implement something. Then you are going to learn how you can add value for organization, how you can manage the value into your project. Those are the things that matter. And I've seen project managers just doing stuff like in an automatic mode. Guess what? If you do not have any type of critical thinking, if you don't have a kind of a holistic view of your project, of your process, and how things should work, artificial intelligence is coming, and for all the automated tasks that can be done without a lot of critical thinking, artificial intelligence can replace that. So, what do you want there? What should be your goal there? Understand how you can add value for your organization, what you can learn, what are the steps that you can take there. Because that, in the end, that's going to be the important thing. And if you're following the content for the project management summit here, in one of the in first content for the warm up, I talk about value into project management, and I show data from research showing that project management can be seen as a very a good competitive advantage if you are in a high level of maturity, and you can outperform your competition depending where they are for almost more than two times. But this maturity of project management that can be a competitive advantage is the project management that's focusing on value delivery. And that's why you see nowadays people talking about value management office or PMO office because they say, that's evolution because the PMO is focusing more on governance. I don't care. If you have a PMO that does not deliver any value for the organization, this PMO sooner or later will die. Why? What's the reason that the PMO exists? The PMO is Project Management Office. Well, the idea is you have a Project Management Office that you're going to help to develop your team, and you can have, of course, different types of Project Management Office. But the idea is, in general, you start to have standardized good practice depending on the type of PMO, you're going to help to develop your team. You're going to help in the decision-making process. And also, you can have part of the PMO, the portfolio management, and so on. But all the things that are there is to add value for organization. Because if there's a report, and I've seen that the organizations do, I need to provide this report. We need to complete this report here, this spreadsheet. And I sometimes I do that. I ask, okay, can you tell me what's going to be done with that? And for one of not it happened more than once that they really people they don't know it. And for some project in the past, a person told me, "Oh, this is a forecast that someone is going to check." Do you know what this person is going to do with that? No, no, no. They just asked me to create it, and I'm doing it every month. What kind of work is that one? That you cannot even explain what you're doing. You cannot even explain the type of value that you're going to get that. And then of course people they try to convince me, but you need to do it. Yeah, but if you cannot even explain the type of value that I can get from that, then I ask a question. Okay, does it help to guarantee my deliveries? No. Does it help? Then I ask a couple of questions. So why you are doing this? Yeah, because someone asked me to do that. And there's a chance that the people that asked them to do that even forgot about that one. And this person keeps updating the report without knowing why, keeps pushing people to do that without knowing why, without what's going to be done with that. And a lot of times, nothing is going to be done with that. So there's a huge waste there from the person creating the report, from the person sending emails, for people asking for updates, for the people adding information there. Can you imagine the type of waste that you have in a workflow like that? So your goal as a project management is come and start to challenging those things. And I'm not saying that you should say I'm not going to do it. You should try to understand, okay, why this is requested, what's the type of value that I can get there. And I'm not telling you also to be a pain in the ass of other people. And I know that because sometimes I've done that in the past. Not saying that was my brightest moment, but of course, depending on your personality, you also might do that. That you're just going to say, I'm not going to do it. But of course, you need to understand the value. But sometimes, okay, that's something that takes 30 seconds for me to do that. Does it worth to discuss this with this person and keep discussing back and forth? And I've seen people sending emails back and forth with escalations and so on. Why? Just the time to keep discussing by mail, it's less time than the 30 seconds. But you mentioned to me, but what about the value that you're talking about if I don't see the value? Yes, it's important. But you also need to understand what's called the Pareto principle, that 20% of the cause will bring 80% of the results. If you are discussing all the small stuff that you have there, if you are putting your time in all the small stuff that you're going to do there, you're not going to have the time to invest in the 20% of the activities that will bring 80% of the results. So that's also balance out, understanding that of course you should always challenge, and but you also should do it in the right way, understanding what's done, and always being respectful with everybody in the team. Just challenging people, saying I'm not going to do it, being disrespectful, that's not okay. But at some point, you also need to understand that you need to pick up your battles and prioritize your time. Say what's going to be more, how I'm going to add more value for the organization. I'm going to add more value to the organization, solving this problem here, or I'm going to add more value for the organization, keep this discussion going on. So that's a very important self-check that you can do as a project manager because again, your goal is to deliver value. And I'm going to give you an example about the Pareto principle for something that happened in one of the programs that I was managing a few years ago. It was like a business case of about $300 million total business case, 10 years business case. And then there was something with my supplier that they wanted for extra quality check there. They were saying that they would charge more money and blah blah blah. And then I asked my team, okay, how much does it cost? And then the feedback that I got that cost 25,000 in the 10 years that you have. And say 25k in 300 million, that does not make any difference. Let's not even waste the time having this discussion. Go. approve it, put the cost in the project and going on. Why? Because I want to use my team focus and my team time and discuss with other things with the customer that we in the end we made it happen, but brought few millions of results for the company. And that might also, of course, say straightforward, but a few months later, someone left the company. Then I took his program there, also business case about 250, 300 millions. And then I found out they were having the same discussion with the same supplier about exactly the same thing. But I found out because his program was in a different phase of mine that his discussion started earlier. So I was invited to a meeting with the procurement manager, the buyer, the plant manager, the process manager, the quality manager, the process engineer, the design manager, the design lead, myself, and they were talking about what should we do it. We need these, but we need to push the supplier. Say, what's the cost, guys? Oh, it was about 25K. I also say, okay, done. Put in the project. Accept. Let's move forward. And everybody stopped in the meeting and started to look at me, say, kind of confused because they were doing that for already a few months. Then the quality manager asked me, really, the project can pay for that? Yes, the project can pay for that. And then everybody was happy because, of course, manufacturing side, they want to have the extra quality check. The design team also wants to have this. The only disagreement is if we should pay for that or not. If it was clear in the specification that the supplier should have included that in the code, and say, for God's sake, let's not waste time with that. So what's the value that I had there? Well, probably if you have a lot of meetings with a lot of people, at some point 25K it's easy money that it's going to cost, if, mainly if you do that for a few months. But also it's prioritization. So when you talk about project management, it's about adding value. It's of course understanding the value that you get from documents, understanding the value that you get from meetings, understanding the value that you are going to get in your steps, but also making sure that you are prioritizing the right things to make sure that you in the end you manage the value for your project, because that's what you want. The ultimate goal of your project is to deliver value. So what you want there, you as a project manager, you need to manage the value delivery. And you can do that in several different ways. I mentioned a few when you talk about documentation, meetings. I mentioned one very key one talking about prioritization, understanding the Pareto principle there, to make sure that in the end you focus on the right activities to make sure that the project gets the value for in the end that it needs. Otherwise, you're going just to get stuck in this very low level of project management that people think on paperwork that needs to be done, that they do not understand the paperwork that needs to be done there. They do not understand, they do not have this holistic view. Then they say, project management is a waste of time. It does not work here, or it does not work for my company because we are different. And I've heard that also from a person. Yeah, all those things that you have there, it's a waste of time and a waste of money. I can add much more value with doing different stuff. See, really? You're going to tell me really that you're going to add my a lot of value without even having experience with project management? You're going to tell me that, and without even knowing, of course, project management, everything that entailed, like everything that's included, for example, in the PMBOK and so on. What is this called? Yeah, this is basically arrogance because you don't know how to do something, you do not understand something, and you're just saying, "Yeah, I can do it better. We don't need it." Priorities are changing all the time. Guess what? If priorities are changing all the time, they're very likely you have a leadership problem in the company because you need to have a north, you need to have a guide, and of course you might change some tasks, and you might, but your north should be very clear. Your guide should be very clear there. Where do you want to go? And of course, depending how you're going to execute, you can adapt. Yes, but it cannot be that priorities change all the time. If priorities changes all the time, that's a very clear issue of leadership. That you do, or either the goal was not clear at the beginning and still the goal is not clear. That's why people keep jumping around. But that's why you can add value as a project management. One of the things that you can do, say, hey, dear leadership, and of course, I understand sometimes it's not so easy, it's not so straightforward because there's relation, there's politics about it. But you can make a case and show you. Well, we cannot just keep changing directions. It's the same thing if you're trying to travel. Let's assume that I'm going to give always the example because I'm in the Netherlands. I'm in Amsterdam. I say I want to travel to Paris. Then I start to travel. 4 hours later, I say that wait. But actually now I don't want to go to Paris. I want to go to Berlin. Wow, it's in the opposite side. So I just had wasted 4 hours of time. If you think about 8 hours, because in 4 hours to go, 4 hours to come back, fuel and time and so on. Then okay, then you're in the direction of Berlin. After 4 hours driving, someone say, wait. But actually, I want to go for Barcelona. But again, this is the opposite direction. And then you go to Barcelona, and then in the middle of the wait. Actually, you want to go to Italy. We want to go to Rome. So you keep back and forth. You don't achieve anything. And that's exactly the same thing that can happen to your career if you don't have a clear goal. If you just keep pushing, keeping jumping one from one goal to another without even putting the right effort, expecting to see something there, without giving what they say, give time a chance so you can see some results, that's what's going to happen. That's what a lot of companies they do it. And that's how you can add value as a project management, because you can help to make this kind of stuff clear. You can help to showcase the type of waste that you are getting there. And when I'm talking about waste of time, usually it's going to be reflecting waste of money, waste of resources, and so on. So you can even create a business case showing that to your company. But to do that, you need to understand that your goal is to deliver value. Project management is about delivering value. And once you have this holistic view, this critical thinking in place, you're going to see that in a lot of different situations, value will mean different things. Sometimes it will be prioritization. Sometimes it will be challenging a document. Sometimes value will be telling one of your team members to just go home and relax a bit, stop working extra. Value will be different in different situations. So your goal is not cost. Your goal is not time. Say, my goal as a project manager is delivering on time on cost. No, your goal is to deliver value. Yes, a lot of times on time on cost. That also means value for the organization, but that's not the only thing. So value will change in a lot of different situations. You need to be able to understand it. So stop looking project management as documentation that needs to be done and meetings that you need to run. Stop looking as a project management as you need to focus on time, on budget. Not that you don't need to focus on that, but those things, they're kind of a means to an end. Why? Because if you deliver on time, usually you make your customer happy, and if you deliver on budget, usually you can meet your business case. But why? Because the business case is measuring value, and because customer satisfaction is also value. But those are KPIs that you use to deliver value. Those are not the end by themselves. Because if you deliver on time, but if you deliver the wrong thing, does not matter. If you deliver on budget, but you destroyed your team, you destroyed your relationship with your customer, also might not matter that much. So be careful on that. Keep in mind always, project management is about delivering value there. If you have this focus, then you need to build the right view, the right holistic view with the right types of knowledge, with the right routine that you can build around that, with the right tools. And then you start to understand how value will be in different situations. Then, of course, as a project manager, you can start to see how you're going to deliver value in different situations. Again, the content here is part of the warm up for the Project Management Summit. If you haven't done yet, make sure that you subscribe. It's a free event. I'm going to share much more content on project management. I'm going to share extra materials. I'm going to share extra exercise and everything that you need to start to develop or to continue to develop your project management skills and your project management skills. If you have questions, I hope if you've seen also other videos, I'm talking about principles to be successful with project management. Asking questions is fundamental because if it's something that's not clear for you, it's very important that you ask. Otherwise, I cannot help you. I cannot make the bridge of knowledge. If something is not clear for you, don't tell me. So if you have questions, you can write down in the comments of this video. You can reach out via Instagram. You can there's the Q&A box is open every day, but also you can send me a direct message. And of course, if you subscribe for the Project Management Summit, you probably at some point you are going to get one email from me. And you also, if you have questions, you can reply those emails. Thank you and see you soon. Bye.